Okay, it's the Thursday just before training, before the Richmond game. I'm sitting here with Ed Taylor, Blackheath captain, second row, and Ed, we're already a third of the way through the season. It's been a set of mixed results today. We've got 4 wins, 4 defeats from 8 matches. I think the losses to Bishop Stortford and Sale were games that you'd probably say we lost rather than they won. I think they were close, but we've come up against some stiffer opposition in Chinner and Plymouth in the recent games. I mean, Chinner was obviously a very disappointing performance. Better performance against Plymouth in hard place to go, Brickfields.
Horrible conditions.
Horrible conditions. Do you think on that occasion, if the conditions had been more favourable, do you think we would have had a good chance in that game?
I think against Plymouth, obviously, upon review, I think it would have been a hell of a lot closer. I also think that it would have been a quite high scoring game as well. The way both teams obviously play, I think it was suits their game plan. Certainly, their pack was a lot bigger than ours, which meant from a scrummaging perspective and mauling perspective, you only have to watch the highlights to see where their tries and penalties came from. So I'd probably agree with you in that case. I think going back to your point about losing the games to Sale and Darlington, not Darlington, Bishop Stortford. I do feel that we lost those games rather than lost it ourselves, rather than actually the opposition
leading both of those games midway, and it seemed that they were there for the taking, but we just couldn't nail it. Yeah,
it was disappointing. We reviewed it, and I think we could take a lot of positives away from those games. However, the Plymouth and the Chinner games, we were extremely disappointed with how we played, and we didn't really stick to the systems. And I think it could have been closer, but we play rugby in England, so it's always gonna pour down with rain at some stage. We've got to get used to that.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see a pattern emerging. Bishop Stortford apart, which was an exceptional day, wasn't it? That was the heat that day was must have been very, very tiring, and had an impact. But there's a pattern emerging here. Good day, nice firm conditions, fair weather, and we're doing well. Starts to rain, and Sale, Chinner, Plymouth, and we're struggling with the winter months about to hit us. Is that an issue in your mind, or is it not a great concern? You think our pack is competitive? And
not at all. And for a start, we're coming at this with a positive mindset by saying this isn't going to be an issue. I think I'd suspect it's more of a coincidence, and we didn't stick to our game plan, and that was the issue. Now we've made a lot of alterations in order to, in terms of our mentality towards these games, to make sure that, as I say, this doesn't become an issue for the rest of the winter.
Let's move on to the future, and this Saturday, of course, a huge game against Richmond. Your first, I mean, the club always makes a big deal of Richmond, oldest club fixture. We can bang on about that, we will. But your first time, I believe, playing a Blackheath Richmond fixture, does that have any, from a playing point of view, is it a special game, or do you just see it as another game to be won?
I think in National 1, obviously every game is massive. However, this has a special feeling to it. I have to admit, all week, even last week as well, it was being whispered about, spoken about. We've played them in pre-season, but it's never the same. And we've got a chance here to. I appreciate there are other clubs in London, but this is a very old fixture, as you said, and it's got so much gravitas towards it. And it's an incredible day to be a part of, and obviously it's going to be made even more special with the fact that we've got some lads with big milestones this weekend as well.
Of course, yes, and going on to that, poor Leo Fielding coming in for his 100th game, but he's going to be completely overshadowed by another individual who's got a few more. Marcus, of course, I'm sure you want to. I mean, he came back to Blackheath having retired, but came back halfway through your first season in charge. I'm sure you're going to tell me he's made a difference. But what difference has he made?
Huge. I did a bit of a bit of a speech before the game against Plymouth, because for me this 2-week block was all about talking about loyalty to Blackheath Rugby Club, and also just rugby in general with where he is at. Between Leo and Birch this weekend, there's 350 caps of experience. Now, amongst the rest of the squad, we might only just be reaching that amount of caps for Blackheath Rugby Club.
Somebody's going to ask me to work that out, but I'm not going to do it off the top of my head.
But in order for Birch to get to 250 clubs for caps, for one club is just phenomenal. And as I said, the loyalty to Blackheath Rugby is astonishing, and I've got so much respect for him and the way he's come back in during that relegation season. There's no need for him to come back in, but he took it upon himself, commuting from Bournemouth, to come and support the leadership group and also the whole team, the club, in order to try and get back to where we are now. And we succeeded last year amongst another great, we had a great squad, don't get me wrong, but he led from the front in a back's perspective, and I'm proud to say that I've played alongside him with playing for Blackheath.
And what a game to celebrate as well against Richmond. I'm sure that fortunate coincidence there, and two teams that were of course 2 divisions apart a few months ago, but now back in the same league. Very even record, 4 wins each. It's going to be a very tight game and a very big occasion.
Well, I was going to say, but both Richmond and ourselves would probably say that we've had a 50-50 season. I suppose 4 wins out of 8 explains that. It's going to be tight. We're obviously only 1 position apart in the league. I don't think it sort of gets much bigger than this in National 1. I think it's Battle of South West London against South East London, and it's got this whole week has built up towards the fact that we've got two key players of ours with key milestones that have been incredible servants to the club against one of the oldest rivalries in world club rugby.
Well, it's going to be a good occasion. The weather's set fine, which might help us. Reference earlier conversation. Let's hope for a lot of big turnout and a great game.
Absolutely. Absolutely buzzing.
Thank you very much, Ed. I shall let
Greg.
you get back to your training.
Cheers,
and thank you for your time.
Thank you.